Hey, everybody, this is Dana with CoachDanaInspires.com, and we are excited that you're here for Business Inspiration. We have got a fabulous guest today, and that is Lois Kramer, and we are excited that she is here with us today. And Lois is book more business gal. She's the gal that if you want to know how to book more business, you're going to want to listen to her and talk to her afterwards. So, Lois, we are excited that you're here today. Welcome. How
Thanks,
are you
Dana.
doing?
I'm wonderful. I'm absolutely wonderful, and I'm so happy to be with you today. Thanks for asking.
Super. How's the family? Everybody well and okay?
Everybody is well, knock on wood, and
Yeah.
that's a feat these days. But everybody is. Thanks.
Yeah. How's Buddy?
Buddy the intern is good. He is very proud that he was recently named Employee of the Year for the 6th straight year. It's
Oh,
amazing.
I think he goes above and beyond. Really,
I think so too. And it wasn't even close. I'd like to add, it wasn't even close. So
yeah. I think we all need an intern like that. So, good for Buddy. That's fabulous. And so, Lois, you talk to tons of business people, tons of entrepreneurs, people who are out there trying to start businesses, who are in the middle of their business. And what are you hearing out there about? Are they being optimistic about the future? It's been 18, 19 months of this COVID happiness. What are
yeah.
you hearing out there?
Well, we felt like we were on a roll in August. July and August, things were opening up. And I even went to the National Speakers Association convention in Las Vegas. They had limited it to 500. And when I got home, by the time I got home, I went and spent a week in Lake Tahoe with my daughter who lives there.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got home, this Delta variant had come on the scene and things shut down again. And I think that this has been, it's kind of a gut punch because we really felt like we were coming out of it. Here's my take. This is one of those things that we just have to accept and move along. The main reason, and be optimistic, because we have no choice. Who would have dreamed that we would still be talking about this 18 months later? No one would have even thought that. There has been so much sadness and a great, profound loss with COVID, but there also have been some blessings in disguise. And I think one of them, for the people that I work with, I have a very niche business. I work mostly with speakers, experts, and consultants. And speakers, experts, and consultants have shown that they can pivot. And they have been using virtual world to reach their audiences and their customers. And I think initially when we have the shutdown, a lot of speakers said, well, I'm just going to wait. This is not going to last long. I'm just going to wait because I don't want to bother with all of this. I don't want to set up a fantastic studio, spend a lot of money. And the people who waited lost a lot of money by doing so, because what we found was that really about a month into COVID, corporations and private businesses started using speakers virtually. They realized that their workforce was scattered. They weren't in an office altogether. They needed an engagement factor. That's what employees were screaming for. And what better way to gather people, have engagement, than to learn and up your game? And so my clients were telling their prospects and clients, if you are not moving ahead, you're standing still or falling behind. And neither one of those is an advantageous place to be. So don't let the media stop you from having your meeting and accomplishing what you want to accomplish. The media doesn't matter whether I'm delivering in person or I'm delivering like you and I are talking right now. This is what companies have discovered. And so they are now spending money for speakers virtually. I spoke to Professional Speakers Association Africa last week from where I'm sitting right now. And I think that what we're going to find coming out of this is going to be that most meetings are going to be hybrid. I think almost
Yeah.
All of them on the National Association level are going to be hybrid. It's an incredible way to communicate. And in fact, John Hancock, one of the biggest players in financial services in the United States, insurance, financial services, things like that, they announced 2 weeks ago that all of their meetings in the next year are going to be virtual. And it had nothing to do with COVID. They said their people felt like it was a better use of their time to meet virtually than to be gathering in districts and areas of the country. So it's had a profound effect on the speaking industry, and it's not all negative.
Oh, absolutely. I think some of it has been very positive. And I'll just tell you, let's be frank, guys and gals out there, I would not be speaking to you today if it wasn't for Zoom. Where would I, hi Lois, let's meet up, let's be in a room, let's get together. This is fabulous, and being able to share great content has been one of those things that have been a very positive
Absolutely
outcome.
right.
Yeah, so I think more people are getting more and better information because of it. So,
well, I used this medium in consulting with my clients, because if I'm just talking to you on the phone and I'm giving you a piece of advice or a strategy I think you ought to use, and you're holding your nose while I'm giving it to you, yeah, I want to see a reaction from people. It's a much more meaningful way. It's, as a consultant, it served me well. So this was not really new to me when COVID came, though the presentations part is newer to me because of COVID, but I've really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Right. Well, I live in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I can just tell you that one thing that I love about being in Wyoming is these folks are do-it-ourselves, independent. I don't need your help. Thus, I've only had two Wyomingites as clients. Everybody else that is my client is outside of Wyoming. So I can't be flying all over the place talking to people. So I've been doing Zoom like you, as far as talking to clients.
Yes.
But the presentation part has been, I think, a boom, and how many people have accepted it as part of it.
There is nothing wrong with accepting it because you have no choice. Those were the terms when as we entered into COVID. Now people are finding that there is a dynamic. I was just talking to a client of mine who uses a lot of humor in his presentations, and he was talking about, he just gave a presentation in Florida, and he was not masked. He was up on a platform. The audience was socially distanced. They were all masked, and he said, I couldn't tell if they were smiling. I couldn't hear them laughing. He would have preferred a Zoom meeting, because it was almost impossible to gauge people's reaction. Now, he is absolutely great at what he did, and they were laughing and smiling. But when you can't see it, it can be off-putting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And when I'm on a Zoom, when I present virtually, I always say, please open your cameras.
Yeah.
I don't need to see your headshot, no matter how gorgeous it might be. I want to see you.
I agree.
So,
I agree. I've also told people to unmute, because, I say, when I come in to speak to you, I don't put masking tape over people's mouths. Yeah. I want to hear your reaction. And so I have taken that a step further, and, I've enjoyed it. it.
Yeah. I love that. I love it. So, we've been talking about, people that we know and us, moving through this COVID thing with Zoom and being virtual and all this stuff. So is that really what business people, entrepreneurs, is that what we should be doing to really leap forward here? Or what can we be doing? What's another thing we could do to really make a difference now, a year and a half later of COVID?
Well, I think that there are several things that people ought to be doing now, and pursuing virtual events is a number one thing. Here's the reality. If you aren't staying in front of your customers now, you're not going to be meaningful when things open up. So you need to be in touch with your people. You also, I think you should be writing right now. This is a great time to write and get your intellectual property down on paper in the form of, I suggest in the form of a blog. Blogs are intellectual property on parade. It allows clients and customers to dip into what your expertise is. I think there has never been a better time too to make sure that your marketing materials are updated, your website is current. And, you know, if you're a speaker or a consultant, make sure that your website reflects that you speak virtually, you speak hybrid is definitely something that you have done and you're experienced in. Let people know that you can fill their needs however they choose to hire you. I think these are things that are really important. And I think that a lot of people have become lax, Dana, on reaching out to clients, reaching out to prospects. And I think that some people are setting bad habits, because this is prime time for reaching out. You know, one of the things that decision makers are saying is that they're getting a lot of emails, but people aren't calling them. You can't qualify a prospect that you want to work with, whether you're a consultant, whether you're a speaker, whether you're a butcher, baker, or candlestick maker. You can't qualify somebody by email. You have to ask questions to ascertain fit. Pick up the phone is my message these days.
Yeah. I you know, and like people want to have a discussion over text, and people want to have a discussion over email. I want to have a conversation. I want to ask you a question. I want to hear your answer so I can respond right away, not wait for another hour or two. Thank you so much for reminding us of that, Lois. Yeah. So what's the best way to position? What's the best way for us to position what we do?
You know, I think for entrepreneurs and speakers and consultants, the best way to position yourself is using what I call a positioning statement. I kind of started my business, Dana, all around this concept that I had of positioning statement, a concept and outcome statement, the answer to the question, what do you do? And the reason I say I founded my business on it was this. My sense was that most speakers, my target market, really sucked when people asked them what they did. Most of them would answer by vehicle and by topic. So I speak on sales, I speak on leadership. And that's really not saying anything except giving people one way that you work and a topic. And so I'm a believer in a concept and outcome statement, 7 seconds or less. This is not an elevator speech. This is something that is very short to begin a conversation. So for example, instead of saying I'm a consultant in the speaking and expert business, I say I work with speakers, experts, and consultants who want to book more business, make more money, and monetize their message. And when I used to do sales programs for corporate sales teams, I said, I work with organizations that want to fast forward their selling skills and get better at what they're doing. And remembering that this is just a concept and an outcome that I'm giving to begin a conversation. Yeah. This isn't the end all and be all. So it's really, it's a very simple concept. It can take a lot of work to get it where you want it to be and to say exactly what you want it to be. But it's always the first thing that if anybody wants to work with me, I always say this is the first thing that we're going to do, because I know that you'll get better results if you have a solid positioning statement. You're well positioned coming out of the gate with anybody you talk to.
Yeah. And then people are like, wow, that sounds, you know, because I think a lot of times people have this elevator speech that goes to the 85th floor.
Yes.
And you know, by the end of the time you're done, the other person's going, you know.
Well, you know, I think the problem with elevator speeches is this. They assume more interest than there may be.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and if you think about it, most elevator speeches are 30 to 60 seconds, and that's a long time if I'm not interested.
Right.
Okay. if I say something in 7 seconds or less, it allows you to say, tell me more about that.
Yep.
How do you do that? Or to say I'm not interested, they might say, how nice for you, which means I have no interest. But typically people will, after a positioning statement, they'll say, how do you do that? That's when you say, thanks for asking. I do it through my speaking, consulting, writing, courses, coursework, membership groups. This is how I do it. And then I want to hear where their interest lies. Tell me about your membership group. Tell me about your speech. Who do you speak to? Tell me about that. What would that look like if I brought you in to speak? And then you start having a meaningful conversation where you are really answering the queries of a prospect. And that becomes a meaningful conversation.
Okay, guys and girls, men and women, you're out there. You better be listening to this. This is great information. Forget the elevator speech to open up. And, you know, especially, you know, you go to a networking back in the day, you know, when we were networking live, oh, blah, 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 blah. And then you stab someone with your business card. I heard that.
I agree. You know, I agree with you. And I really think that this 7 second or less positioning statement allows you to get in and out. If somebody's not interested, it allows you to move on to someone who is. It gives the person who isn't interested an out, because you're going to say, you know, it doesn't sound like I'm a good fit for you. But it also is a way to engage somebody, to begin a sales process with somebody who is interested. And, you know, sales should be a conversation. It's not supposed to be a monologue. And my sense is, if you start it with an elevator speech that's a monologue, it's the road to nowheresville as far as gaining interest. And so it's a great way to have a sales conversation. And it's typically the first thing anybody's going to ask you or want you to explain. What do you do?
Yeah. And it's very true. Very true. What do you do? And if you can do it that short, bam. I think that's the attention getter, and I like that a lot. So my brain is exploding, Lois. I could ask you 5 billion questions, but I think one thing I'd really like to ask is, so how do we diversify our speaking practice? If we're going to be, because most of us speak, most of us out there in our business to promote our business, we do speak. So how are we going to diversify that?
You know, that's a great question. And this has been something that I've been preaching, not just short-term COVID. To me, those of us who speak, consult, we are in the intellectual property business. That's really the business we're in. People are buying, you know, what we have. And in an intellectual property business, speaking is only one way to put your information out in the market. And making a living by getting on planes and going speaking, I can't imagine. I think it's a terrible way to make a living. It also doesn't serve your clients well. So looking for ways to diversify, as you say, monetize, as I like to say, monetize that message. So I'm not changing my expertise. I am just changing the way I am offering my expertise to the market, a new vehicle. So that may be writing a book. It could be creating, when this COVID started, I did a couple of things to change my business to do exactly what you were talking about, diversifying. I wanted to have a bigger digital presence to my business. I realized that while a lot of my colleagues and friends were saying, gee, I miss travel, I didn't miss it that much at all. And so I wanted to reposition myself by having some more offerings online. So I took a course. So as everybody was saving, I was spending money, Dana. I took a course on creating a membership group. So this is something that I absolutely wanted to do. I wanted to know what good architecture would be for creating it. I've been doing this for a long time. I didn't want to come out with a schlocky product, you know, to offer people. And so I created a membership group where we meet monthly in a private group. And we talk about all aspects of speaking. I bring in guests to talk about things that are not my expertise. There are a lot of things. I just have this much expertise. And so I bring in people who can augment mine. We have hot seats. We concentrate on feedback for each other for different things. So it's a real community that I've created, and I've absolutely loved it. It's brought me more joy than I can even tell you. We meet weekly for an hour. And then I also have been interested in creating courses. I'm doing it a little differently. So I spent more money on how to create a good course. And I'm doing it differently because I've done my courses live. I like the, like you and I are talking live right now on Facebook. I like the ability to be responsive in real time when people are learning things. Yeah. And this is a little bit different from the traditional way a lot of people offer courses. But I've enjoyed it. And I think that when people do take a live course with me, they actually have something at the end to show for it, because we've been able to go back and forth and talk about it, ask questions if you're stuck. So that's been kind of fun for me. And, a lot of my friends and colleagues have said, you want to record that. People will buy it all the time. I just like the live. I'm kind of stuck on that right now. So I probably will put it, have something recorded in the future. But right now I'm enjoying the live. So those are a couple shifts that I made to diversify, if you will, the way I offer my intellectual property in the marketplace. And this is absolutely something that anyone in an intellectual property business must do, I think, to be meaningful, to be able to make a living doing this, to make money, and to be able to reach people. We know that different people like to learn differently.
Yes.
Some people like to hear a speech. Some people prefer Zoom. Some people prefer in person. Some people like a course. So why not take that expertise that you have and just apply it in different ways?
Yeah, I think it's great. And the thing is, maybe not everybody is interested in a course, but somebody else might be thinking, I really want blogs, or I really want to, so you can pick a myriad of things. And I think you've picked what makes you happy.
Yeah,
and
I have.
And I've had people say, oh, record this or record that, or this should be on a podcast, or this should be, and I'm thinking, well, that's great, but I'm kind of liking what I do. So
yeah, I mean, listen, when I started my business, I was actually blonde.
yes.
And now that I'm gray, I want to run things the way I want to do it. And the interesting thing that I found is that the way I want to do it has been well received.
Yeah.
So go figure, go figure. I like to do, I always say the minute, Dana, I stop enjoying what I do is when I'll move on to something else.
Yeah.
I still absolutely love the work that I do. I've met the most interesting people that I never would have met doing anything else. And so I consider myself very lucky. And I like to offer what I do in a number of ways for people to buy into.
Well, I think people like you, and I think that's fabulous. I know. Shh, I'm sorry. That was a well-kept secret. I'm sorry, everybody.
This is a news flash.
I know. Let the cat out of the bag. Someone likes Lois. Oh my gosh.
Actually, I think it's because I've just outlasted a lot of people. I'm still here.
I'm going to be here till the end, baby.
That's right. That's right.
Well, before we wrap up, because we are near the end, goodness gracious, let me ask you one last question. And, it's about the speaking business. And so is this really a good time to stay in the speaking business? Is this
great question?
From what I've been hearing, I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it from your mouth.
This is a great question, because most mere mortals, would say that this is insane to think about starting a speaking business under the conditions where we are currently. I say there's never been a better time. And this is why I say that. I've talked with many people who are jumpstarting a business, speaking business, or adding speaking as one of their offerings because of Zoom and because of meeting the way you and I are today. Yeah. You can get more experience coming out of the gate than you ever could by looking for in-person events. And experience is experience. And so I think it is not a bad time at all. And I do think for anyone who is in an intellectual property business, they ought to consider speaking, because there is no better way to put yourself out in the marketplace, to explain to people what you do, and think about what are the other ways that I can put myself out there too. But speaking is a great way, and this is not a bad time.
Yeah, great. I love it. I think it's so important that we share that information, that speaking is really one of the primary ways to build the business that you have. So
It
Lois,
is.
Lois,
But, let me just say this, that
please do.
there are some people in the economic roller coaster of reality that we live on. You have to run this like a business, though. And there are a lot of people who are entrepreneurs who spend what they make. And, you can't do that, because then something like COVID comes along and you just can't sustain what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So really treating speaking and whatever you do like a business is incredibly important, because things like this are going to happen. I mean, in my business, I've been through 9/11. Which really hit, as we all know, travel. People didn't really want to get on planes and travel. Yep. I was on a plane a few days after 9/11 going to a speech in Philadelphia. There were 4 passengers and 5 crew people on that plane. Yeah. But my clients in Philadelphia said, you can cancel. We totally understand. I said, hey, if you're going to be there, I'll be there. And quite frankly, Dana, I thought there's probably never been a safer time to fly.
I agree with that.
And then in 2007 and 2008, yep, many remember the economy bottomed out, and a lot of speakers didn't make it. Yeah. And I think that this is having that same effect. People who weren't running the business in a strategic way. So it's important that you treat it like a business, and that you be strategic about everything that you do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Lois, your insight is unbelievable, and I think so important for us to hear today. So folks out there, this is good stuff. And this goes back up on YouTube. It's going to be on the Facebook page. So go back and listen to this, hear what Lois has to say. This is good stuff. So if you're thrilled with what you just heard and you want to hear more about Lois and what she can do for you, there she is, Lois at bookmorebusiness.com, or there's her website, and she's gracious enough to give a phone number. So if you want to hear more about what she has to offer, what she has to, just ask her a question. You were talking about a membership group. What does that mean? How could I do that? Lois, you have a book. Where's your book? We have not talked about your book. Quick like a bunny. Let's see. Yeah.
This is my book.
Book More Business. There's another.
Book More Business, Make Money Speaking. And it's a book, Dana, when I wrote this, I literally bragged to everybody, it will sell in the tens. You know how people say my book is going to sell because it's such a niche book, but it's done really well. It's been kind of incredible. It's had many lives, and I'm very proud of it. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
So get the book. Hello, it's Lois. You want to get the book. So if you want to get great information, this is how you get a hold of Lois. So please reach out to her, send her some love at lois@bookmorebusiness.com. And if those of you who don't know who I am a coach for women entrepreneurs. I help you find your value. Women, stop undervaluing yourselves. We have great value, expertise, and experience. So I help you find your value. I help you find your perfect client. And then we go out and we're going to change the doggone world. That's what we're about. So here's my information down below. If you're interested, get a hold of me. If you want to be interviewed, get a hold of me. If you have questions about what on earth am I doing, get a hold of me. I'm happy to talk to you. Dana at CoachDanaInspires.com. And in the meantime, Lois, you're fabulous. I just thank you so much for taking the time, sharing your expertise. And we just are grateful to see you, and thank you for being here.
Dana, honored that you asked, and happy to be with you today. Thank you.
Super. And until next Tuesday, everybody, we'll see you later, and have a great week.